Let's do it, Cowboy. Let's roll.
All right, welcome back to the Persian and The Cowboy podcast. As always, he's the Persian, I'm the Cowboy. Today we're going to be discussing the NFL. We got a new season coming around. We're going to get back to some sports content for everyone.
Yeah, we're actually on a separate, the Cowboy and I wanted to announce that on a separate Instagram page, we're going to have the Persian and the Cowboy overtime. Some sports and maybe potentially pop culture.
Yeah, it's going to be
items.
All of our PC production ideas that don't really fall underneath our normal hashtags will be on that page. So
yeah, so a little bit of sports, mainly NFL football with the season coming up. But it's going to be great. The 2023-2024 NFL season's kicking off. We got preseason officially kicked off last week on Thursday with the Hall of Fame game. But now this week it's kicking off. All the teams are playing and 3 preseason games, and then the season starts. Cowboy, you're a diehard Steelers fan. I'm a diehard Raiders fan. What are your predictions for the Steelers? Just have you been following what's going on?
Yeah, I think they've reloaded very well. The defense is looking pretty stacked. The offensive line is going to be significantly better than last year. We've invested draft capital and have a lot of key signings that have come on there. Our weapons are looking pretty good.
Right.
We have... a tight end room is pretty freaking stacked right now too. So we got a lot of weapons, a lot of options on offense. It's all going to come down to Kenny Pickett and if he's able to make that next step in the league and Matt Canada's offense and being offensive coordinator out there. Because on paper, the team is significantly better than they were last year. And they still had a winning record last year. So I expect them to be a playoff team this year, competing for the division title. At least a wild card team. I'm going like 10-7 at worst.
10-7, and they can sneak in the wild card. That's your prediction.
That's my worst case. I also think Kenny Pickett's going to take the next step, and I could see them being a 12-13 win team this year.
Wow, that's pretty bold. That's a bold statement.
I'm a little biased, but
that's a bold statement. The Raiders have been through some significant changes. Last year was a disappointing year. They finished up the year. What was it? They were. 6-11 last year. They were 6-11. So I may be incorrect on that because it's been such a long time. I'm not usually incorrect about my Raiders stats as a diehard, but they were 6-11, I believe. And they had a disappointing season. They made the trade to get Devontae Adams last year in the offseason to pair with his former college teammate, Derek Carr, who's now with the New Orleans Saints. The Raiders had him walk, and he signed with the New Orleans Saints. So at the end of the day, I think that the Raiders defensively, they made some key signings. They brought in Marcus Peters. They drafted a hell of a defensive end that's coming in with the wingspan of a pterodactyl coming in. And, Max Crosby's only improving. They've upgraded their secondary. They brought in some younger guys in the linebacking core. You look at the offensive line. Colton Miller is still doing his thing, is still getting a lot of high praise from NFL analysts. Jimmy Garoppolo's coming in at quarterback because he understands the Patriot system, which Josh McDaniels has implanted in Las Vegas. So I think those are all pluses. But the downside is right now, Josh Jacobs, the Raiders running champion last year, their top running back, is a holdout and is not reported to camp. He did not sign his franchise tag tender. And he wants at least anywhere between $12 to $15 million a year. And the running back market has been destroyed. We've seen guys like Saquon Barkley with the New York Giants, who's a scab. He basically caved and signed his franchise tag. Austin Eckler of the Los Angeles Chargers, which I still call them the San Diego Chargers, he is also upset about his deal, didn't get a long-term deal. Tony Pollard of the Cowboys, same situation. And Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, you need to pay that man because he was a chunk of their offense last year.
Yeah, but
you don't pay him. You're, the Patriot system, which has now been implemented in Las Vegas under head coach Josh McDaniels, is a running back by committee system. They've never had in New England during those days when he was offensive coordinator, they didn't really have top-tier running backs. They had Corey Dillon for a little while. They've had a couple guys, journeymen. So my situation is this. They have to pay the man. Pay the man. Bring him back by the end of preseason so we can get this offense rolling because the Raiders, in my estimation, I'm going with the same record that you presented. I think they're going to be 10-7. Will they sneak into a wild card? Potentially. I do think that they'll be 10-7 and they'll sneak into the playoffs. They're going to shock a lot of analysts because everybody in town, from the NFL Network, CBS Sports, ESPN, they're all saying that the Raiders are going to win like less than 6 games this year.
Yeah, I'm not optimistic. I think it's going to be a pretty rough season for them.
I think not, because the defense is highly improved. And what was the issue last year? It wasn't the offense. They had a high-powered offense. The issue was that their defense was not there to play. They had one of the worst defenses in the league, and they did not take the ball over. They had very little takeaways. They did not really sack the quarterback. They give up big chunk plays. They lost last year 7 to 8 games by less than 7 points, and they led in all those games. And if everything was flipped, they would have ended up 13-4,
Like
a top
Vikings.
wild card seed.
Yeah, like the
So
Vikings.
I don't know if they would have went deep in the playoffs, because you go into the places like Kansas City and Cincinnati are tough. But I think that the Raiders would have been a playoff team last year. I don't think the offense is the issue. But now it will be an issue because, A, can the Raiders' offensive line protect Jimmy Garoppolo, who's a good quarterback, who's an excellent quarterback?
Was he
But
playing with the
foot is not
Patriots?
an issue.
Was he playing with the Patriots when the
He played with the Patriots for a
During-
little while during Brady's suspension because of Deflategate.
was he under who was the coordinator with him? then?
Josh McDaniels.
It was Josh McDaniels.
Josh
still? Okay.
McDaniels. That's why they brought him in.
Yeah.
And it's a smart move. I think, the big question I have is, can the offensive line, can this Great Wall of China protect a quarterback that has a history of getting hurt? That's number one. And his backup is a rookie from Purdue, Aiden O'Connell. Can he be the number 2 guy? And the other guy is Brian Hoyer, who also was in New England with Josh McDaniels for over a
Interesting.
decade.
Well-
And then you got Chase Garbers, too, who's their 4th-string quarterback who might not make the team, who just got re-signed after being cut a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So my thing is, if the Patriots were always running back by committee, why should they give Jacobs all this cash then?
I would, because he was the running champion last year. He is not only a threat on the ground, but he's a great pass catching back.
But is he better than Dalvin Cook though?
He's better than Dalvin Cook.
You think he's better than Dalvin
He's
Cook?
better than Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is still available too, by the way. I didn't even mention Dalvin Cook's available.
Because you could probably get sign Dalvin Cook for half as much as
Ezekiel
Jacobs
Elliott's
asking
available,
for.
but Ezekiel Elliott's
He's
banged
done.
up.
He's done.
But at the end of the day, the running back position is a very thankless job. You dominate for 4 to 5 years, and then you're dead. You're a bell cow back. If you're getting all these touches, you're basically gonna run out of gas. You're banged up. A guy like Ezekiel Elliott would be a good pickup for 1 year, because he could actually get the short yardage, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and then the goal line touchdowns. But he's not going to be your bell cow back. They're going to give 20 touches.
No.
So for the Raiders, going back to the Raiders, A, is that offensive line ready to protect Jimmy G with the fear of God? B, Josh Jacobs, if he's not there, I don't expect them to win 10 games. And C, is the Raider defense really improved, as some of these analysts are saying, based on some joint practices with the 49ers and just camp in general?
Okay.
But I give the Raiders 10-7. They sneak in the playoffs. They'll be eliminated in the first round probably, but at least they get back in the playoffs like 2 years ago.
So who are your top 10 teams? How about top 5 teams in each division? Conference.
So I'm going to go, so we'll do a top 5. So number 1 off the bat in the AFC, you can't deny the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm picking unfortunately, and I hate the Kansas City Chiefs, but I think Kansas City is going to win the AFC West. They're going to be 13-4, 14-3, maybe even. They're just high powered. I mean, they haven't lost a touch. They're keeping the mojo going. I think if Patrick Mahomes can stay healthy and Andy Reid keeps calling the shots like he is, I don't see anybody beating these guys in the AFC Championship game. They probably will play the Cincinnati Bengals. I know Joe Burrow had a setback. He got injured in camp, but I think the Bengals will rally once he comes back, and it will be the Chiefs and the Bengals in the AFC Championship game this year coming up. But at number 1, I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. Excuse me, number 1, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs.
Number 2 is
number 2, I'm actually going to throw number 2, I'm going to go with Cincinnati Bengals. Number 2, I'm going with the Bengals.
Makes sense.
Joe Burrow is going to come back stronger than ever. I know he had that calf injury in practice and in camp. You got T. Higgins. You got Jamar Chase. The running back position, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Joe Mixon took a pay cut to come back with all his legal troubles. But they're still going to be high-powered. Their defense was good. This Bengals team is rock solid. I'm picking the Bengals to meet the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game this year. but I'm going to go Bengals number 2, top team.
Number 3?
Number 3, the Buffalo Bills in the AFC
yeah.
East.
I forget about the Bills all the time.
So, one sec. So, the AFC North will go to the Bengals. I'm picking the Bengals to be 12-5 to win the division because we got 17 games. So 12-5.
Oh wow, okay.
I'm picking the Bengals to go 12-5. Now
someone out of the AFC North is going to get more than I think at least 13 wins. One team.
I'm going to say 12 because Joe Burrow might not be ready by week 1-2.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go 12-5 for the Bengals. Now the third team that I think is going to be high-powered, top 3 team, I'm going Buffalo Bills. Mm-hmm. The question is Buffalo's defense, can they make those stops that they couldn't do last year? And the problem with Buffalo is Josh Allen has a tendency to choke. They choke in big moments. Can they?
The playoff games,
and who's going to be the running back on that team? Are they going to go after a guy like Dalvin Cook? Dalvin Cook's still available. Can they do it? So I'm going to say that the Buffalo Bills are going to be 12-5 as well. And the Buffalo Bills are going to win the AFC West.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other division, the AFC South, I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win their division. It's going to be a very tight division in the AFC South, but I'm going to go Jacksonville 11-6. Now, Trevor Lawrence is coming back from an excellent year. They came back against the Chargers in the playoffs last year. That miracle comeback, they were down by quite a bit of points. You know, Doug Peterson's a good head coach. They got a great defense, good linebacking core, solid secondary. But the question is, can that offense take it to the next level and join the club of the Chiefs, Bengals, and Bills? So I don't think they're ready yet.
Trevor Lawrence is at a point where he's got to prove
coming
that
up.
He's worth
he proved himself
one.
last year, but he's got to take it to the next level this year, and he will. But they're a young team still. They're a couple years away from being Super Bowl contenders. But I'm going to say that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be the winners in the AFC South.
Who's your fifth pick out of that?
My fifth pick. So I'm actually going to do a top 7 because I'm going to do my 3 wild card teams too. The top 3 wild card. But at number 5, I'm going to go back to the AFC North, and I'm going to actually say the Baltimore Ravens.
Interesting.
The Baltimore Ravens are going to be 11-6. I feel that the Ravens are actually going to be a solid team now that they got Odell Beckham Jr.
He's washed.
He's washed, but that kid can still play even though he's been so injured. He's going to come back like no other. Lamar Jackson has a lot to prove this year because they signed him and it was a whole saga. Lamar Jackson needs to prove that he's worth all that money, and their defense has always been solid. The Baltimore Ravens have always been known for their defense. They're a defensive-minded team, but this year the offense is going to have to shine. So a guy like Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be heavily targeted in this year with Lamar Jackson. They got a good rapport, it seems like, in camp, but really the defense is going to make those key plays to give the ball back to Lamar. Lamar will do his thing. I'm going 11-6 for the Baltimore Ravens, top wild card seed. The 6th team in the wild card, the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I was wondering for when you were going to say Miami.
Because my guy, I forget his name, dude, because we're getting back in the football season. The old Niners offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel. There we go. Yeah. Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel, the smooth, cool cat, Thundercat, hell of a good coach. Players love him. Miami is a question mark. They have a good defense. They, the quarterback situation, is Tua Tagovailoa going to be the quarterback, or they're going to go somewhere else? I know they wanted to get Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, didn't work out, but they're still sticking with Tua, it looks like. They have a good passing game. They have a high-powered offense. The defense can make plays at the right time.
I think they have one of the best wide receiver rooms in football.
It's top 3 for sure, top 3. But can the running game pick up? That's the question. Can the running game pick up? I know Dalvin Cook was linked with them.
And can they protect Tua?
Tua needs to be protected because if Tua has 2 more concussions, he's done for his career.
Yeah.
He's finished because they had a lot of scandals this year when they played him too fast. He had that neurological situation when it looked like he was throwing up gang signs, but he was passed out.
Oh, God,
when his hands crumbled up, the poor guy. So Tua Tagovailoa is a young quarterback. They cannot afford this kid to get banged up this year again because they're going to have to go back to the draft room. So I'm going to say that the Miami Dolphins, 11-6 record, they will be the 6th seed in the AFC. the number 2 wild card seed. Okay, final wild card seed, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, right.
The Raiders,
Yeah, right.
10-7. It's gonna be a year to prove. Josh McDaniels, he's on the hot seat. If he doesn't have a winning season this year above 500, he will be fired in Las Vegas. And the situation, Devontae Adams is not happy. He wants to win, and they have to win. Josh Jacobs has to get paid by the end of August, or they're not going to get in the playoffs. So they have to bring Josh Jacobs back and negotiate and meet in the middle and pay the man a long-term deal. Maybe they got to pay him the $13.5 to $14 million a year to seal him up. But at the end of the day, the Raiders' defense is much improved. Their offensive line has improved. They have a better quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm. They have the quarterback who actually understands Josh McDaniels' system that was implanted in New England. Jimmy Garoppolo and Josh McDaniels worked together in New England.
We can talk about the Raiders forever.
Offensive coordinator.
I hear you, man.
But 11, they're going to be 10-7, the final wild card seed.
We'll see it when it happens.
And I'll give you this.
So my thought, though, you have the Jets missing the playoffs.
I do, and I was going to bring that up in my next thing. I was going to talk about my top 5 most disappointing teams.
You think the Jets are going to flop
At
this
number
year?
1, I think the Jets are the most overhyped team since God knows, since the Chargers. Every year, everybody talks about the Los Angeles Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers this, Justin Herbert this, that. But I'm going to tell you right now, the number 1 team that's everybody's hoping that makes the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl, they're not going to get to the Super Bowl. Their team cannot protect Aaron Rodgers. Just a couple days ago in camp, Aaron Rodgers had a temper tantrum because he was getting sacked all the time. And they don't sack the quarterback in these camps. They touch him. He's wearing the red jersey, so they touch him. But he's very frustrated. He's linking up with Alan Lazard, his receiver from Green Bay. But right now, it's not going well in the Jets. I know they're on Hard Knocks, too. The NFL wants to promote the Jets. If Robert Saleh, the Niners' old defensive coordinator, doesn't have a winning season this year and they make the playoffs, he's out. He's fired. He's gone from the Jets. Aaron Rodgers will probably either retire or get traded at the end of the season if they don't make the playoffs. I could see a scenario where the Raiders last year had a lot of hype and they totally tanked. The Jets are going to tank too. I'm going to say the Jets are going to end up, I can't believe the Jets are going to end up 9-8. 9-8. They're going to be a game above 500, but they're going to be 9-8. They'll miss the playoffs this year.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Number 2 team, the Los Angeles Chargers, formerly the San Diego Chargers. They're going to be 9-8 too. Their coach is going to get fired at the end of the year because he's on the hot seat. They missed last year. They made the playoffs and got knocked out by the Jags in Jacksonville. The year previously, they lost to the Raiders last game of the year and got knocked out of the playoffs. So he's going to the coach is going to get fired. But at the end of the day, Justin Herbert just got paid a lot of money, $200+ million over 5 years, 6 years. So he's going to be the number 1 all-star. Austin Eckler's upset about his contract situation, and he's a bell cow back. They use him a lot.
It just always seems kind of messy in San Diego, but yeah.
The Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers, they're gonna end up missing the playoffs. They'll be 9-8. Their defense is a question mark. Even though they have high-powered guys on defense, they always seem to end up losing games, and they're not making plays at the right time. So I do see the Chargers going 9-8 and missing the playoffs with another coaching vacancy in Los Angeles. Now, the other team, I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh is going to end up 9-8 as well. Mike Tomlin will not get fired because it's not your guys' style. But I think the defense is not the problem in Pittsburgh. Defense is fine. The question is, can Najee Harris be effective? Can he be healthy? And also, what's the passing game going to be like? And where's Kenny Pickett at in all this situation? Is he ready to take this team to new heights?
Yeah, I think Kenny Pickett's the only question mark in that group because Jalen Warren is our backup running back, and he was more efficient with the ball than Najee was last year.
They might trade Najee in the middle of the season. You never know.
They might, yeah. I don't know. Something crazy
But I'm telling you right now, I think the Steelers are going to be a contender very soon in the next 2 seasons. They're not there yet. They got a lot of young players. Their defense is solid defense.
Yeah,
by far.
Got a lot better too.
But they're going to be 9-8. I'm going to go 9-8. Pittsburgh, one of my top 5 most disappointing teams of the upcoming season. Okay, the Denver Broncos at number 4. with the new head coach and Sean Payton coming in and a whole new regime.
Oh, yeah.
Russell Wilson getting back on the page after a
Russell
disappointing campaign
Wilson.
with
He
Nathaniel
screwed
Hackett.
my fantasy football team
Yeah,
last year. That was
Russell,
rough.
I'm going to go 8-9 for the Denver Broncos. They're going to miss the playoffs. I think this could be the end of the line for Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
He will get traded in the next offseason, and Sean Payton will bring in his own quarterback. I think that the Walton family, the Walmart company, the Walton family that owns the Denver Broncos, they bought them last year. They want to win. They want to win now. And regardless of coaching or players, if a player is not understanding a system or if a coach is not on the same length as his players, they're going to make changes. They want to win. I think that the Broncos have a lot of good key pieces on defense, but they're still missing some areas. Their offense last year, they have good receivers. Cortland Sutton, one of the top guys there. What's with the running game?
I think it's just going to
situation?
come down to do they know how to work with Russell Wilson's abilities?
And I think Russell is a guy that he's kind of he's a great quarterback, but he flamed out last year, and his expectations are very high of what he wants from the team. I mean, he has an office on the fourth floor of the team facility with the executives. No player has those kind of perks. And a lot of the players in the locker room can't stand his prima donna type attitude. That was a situation last year, and he wasn't on the same page as Nathaniel Hackett. The Broncos were a horrible team. Denver improves in terms of the win-loss column, but they do not make the playoffs. They're going to be 8-9.
Yeah.
And my final, most disappointing team, and one of our friends is going to be very upset, the Tennessee Titans.
I was wondering when this was
The
coming
Tennessee Titans, this will be Mike Vrabel's last year, because after this year, and I didn't put the Patriots on the list because the Patriots,
they're not that good on paper.
They're not good on paper.
Yeah.
So regardless, Bill Belichick's going to get fired from New England at the end of this year.
He's never going to get fired. He's going to be able to. He's going to be able to be the coach there,
or he'll be
for as long
forced
as
to
he wants.
retire. The 6 Super Bowl championships don't make a difference with the Kraft family. They want to start winning again. They're tired of losing. Mike Vrabel will be the head coach of the New England Patriots in the next offseason. Now, however, going back to the Titans, the Tennessee Titans are probably one of the most disappointing teams last year. The Titans had a good run, but then they started losing games. Mike Vrabel will be fired at the end of this year because the team does not look good on paper. Derrick Henry is starting to get older.
Yeah.
He's a bell cow back. Is he going to be ready and healthy to go? Their passing game is not the same. Their quarterback situation is weak. Ryan Tannehill is not as good as he was a couple years ago. They're younger quarterbacks. Now they drafted Will Levis. We don't know much about Will Levis. You have Malik Willis too. So when are they going to shift from Tannehill to Will Levis? When they go 3-7 or 2-8, are they going to make that change? The defense still solid, but at the end of the day, the defense too. Last year they didn't make key plays when they needed to, and it hurt them on the ball. Getting those takeaways.
Yeah,
so I
makes sense.
think the Titans are going to end up being 7-10.
All right. Well, I think that brushes up the AFC, right? I think we're gonna have to wait till another episode to do the NFC.
Yeah, we'll do that. What about you? What do you think about the AFC?
My picks? I think I'm pretty in alignment right there. I think the Jets will make the playoffs. I don't see them beating the Bills for the division. The Patriots, I don't think they're in. I think the AFC South is going to be more interesting than we give it credit for. I'm curious about what the Colts are going to do. Just thinking they might
They're
have
rebuilding, man. The Colts are rebuilding. They're not going to be good for the next 3-4 years.
I wouldn't be surprised if something happens there. I don't really have too much faith in Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, to be honest. Like I think that division's kind of up in the air, in my opinion. A coin toss to see whoever the hell can come down with it. So that'll be interesting. And then AFC East, I think, is pretty straightforward. The Bills are going to take that. I think the Jets are going to get a playoff spot, though, from it as well. AFC North, I think the Steelers are going to be contending for that top division spot. Of course, me fanboying a lot on that one. I don't have much faith in the Ravens. I think they missed the playoffs this year. I think it's another difficult year, and I think they paid way too much money for Lamar Jackson.
I would have traded him.
His skill set is declining quite a bit.
Well, he scrambles too much. He's getting hurt.
Yeah, he's going to have the shelf life of a running back. Like, that's just how it's going to come down. And he's not a pocket passer. He's never been a pocket passer. He's not going to be able to make that transition. So I think the Ravens are on a sinking ship, personally. And OBJ is so overrated. He hasn't done anything.
He's had a
since
lot of serious injuries too.
He hasn't done anything since he left New York. Like he's just been.
Well, I
very
mean,
mediocre.
he had a decent season with the Rams, especially in the Super Bowl. He played well, and then he blew out his knee. But the question is, can that knee sustain itself? Can he have a healthy season? Because if he gets another season-ending injury, OBJ's done. He's finished. He's going to retire.
And then AFC West, I think you're spot on. The Chiefs are going to take that division. I don't see the Raiders being second place in that division, though. I think the Chargers will take the second place spot. And who knows, Sean Payton could do something with Denver also if they magically figure out how to get Russell Wilson to work as a quarterback again. But that'll be interesting.
Get him his confidence, his mojo back. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that.
Yeah, Miami is my sleeper pick, though. The defense is looking solid, and that wide receiver room is just scary, man.
It is very scary.
If they can just get the ball in the hands of Tyreek Hill in any way possible, they can score at any moment.
Well, I don't want to burst your bubble right now because I know you're anti-Raiders, but you look at going back to the Raiders, you have Jimmy G at quarterback. You got Devontae Adams, who actually got hurt today in the joint practices with the 49ers and Raiders. He took a big hit. He got up, he had a little bit of a leg injury, but it's going to be okay, it looks like, but they're pulling him out. So Devontae Adams is your number one receiver. At number 2, you got Jacoby Myers, the former Patriot wide receiver. He's in there. And then at number 3, you got Hunter Renfrow in the slot. And with Jimmy G, he loves slot receivers. And then if Josh Jacobs can come back and get this contract dispute settled, that is a high-powered offense.
I mean, just double Devontae.
You got Austin Hooper. You got Austin Hooper at the tight end position, and then you got this.
Yeah, those are all mediocre.
And then they have a draft pick
all
from
mediocre
Notre Dame,
names except for Adams.
They had a draft pick from Notre Dame too at the tight end position. It was going to help and replace Darren Waller. So there actually going to be a lot of surprises from the Raiders. But
yeah, you heard it here first, people. This is his predict right here. I don't think it's going to happen. He's been predicting this for 20 years.
I'll actually tell you this real quick. AFC Championship game in late January. It's going to be the Chiefs and the Bengals from Kansas City, and the Chiefs are going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Makes sense to me.
I'll break down. Let's actually, you know what? Let's break down the NFC.
No, we don't have time to do that.
We don't have time to break down the NFC?
27 minutes already.
We're 27 minutes. Okay, so that's it.
Yeah. Anyways, next episode we'll break down the NFC and what our predictions are for that. So
let's do that.
With that being said, let's go get some lunch.
Let's do that.
He's the Persian. I'm the Cowboy. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers,
Thanks
folks.
for listening.
Happy Friday. Take care and God bless America.
Yep, and football.
And football.